It's been a flip-flopping week largely, and we had a truncated week of trade as well. Largely, we're seeing indices actually in the decline. We're seeing the Nifty snapping its 3-week gaining streak, down 2.5% this week. 31 out of the 50 Nifty constituents were in the red this week. You had the likes of an HDFC Bank after its analyst meet on Monday declined quite sharply from those 1650 levels all the way down to around 1520 is where it's closed up. One of the top losers on the Nifty index this week. You also had the likes of an Ultratech Cement. Those were the two big leaders in terms of losses. The Nifty mid-cap also declining. Second straight week in a row, you had the likes of a Syngene, Tata Tele, all of which were in the decline. The Nifty PSU Bank, though, was in a flip-flop mode. We saw a bit of decline to start the week off, but we closed the week on the up on the back of the fact that we had the JP Morgan bond index inclusion for Indian bonds. Also, when it comes to Cipla Torrent, there's no deal outcome yet, and that continues to be in focus. The IPO rush is back. We had IPOs opening well in the green, solid gains across the board, and of course, we had Indian bonds which were included in the JP Morgan index. That, of course, we have covered. But overall, that's how the week really shaped up. We have both Ajay Bagga here as well as Rajesh Palviya who are going to try and break down this week for us. It was a key week, gentlemen. Welcome on the show. It was a key week. Of course, the FOMC meet, HDFC analyst meet as well. Let me move it to Rajesh first. Rajesh, what are the levels that you're looking out for? Because suddenly we are seeing declines across the board, not only in the mid caps, but also in the frontline index.
So, Harsha, we have seen a significant supply pressure throughout the week, almost 2.5% for the Nifty, and now Nifty slipped below to 20-day moving average. Most of the put writers have shifted their position on the lower side. So put writers are now shifted their position at 19,500, 19,400 strike. So that clearly shows that, further more pressure we can see in the coming trading session as call writers are now acting aggressive, aiding their position at 19,800 strike, 19,900 strike. So that level are likely to act as a major supply zone for any pullback action. So looking at the data setup, until Nifty not crosses above 19,900, there won't be any significant short covering action we are going to witness in the market. So only major short covering will come above 19,900 only. Until we are trading below 19,800 level, pressure is likely to be remain in the system, and possibly Nifty can go further down from the current level towards 19,600, 19,550 in the continuation of this down move. On the bank Nifty, some pullback action was there in today's session, but looking at the overall setup for this monthly series, we believe that if bank Nifty not able to cross above 45,000 mark, then possibly furthermore supply pressure we can see in the coming trading session. On the lower side, 44,400 is the key level to watch for the coming week. If he breaks those levels, then this down move can extend further towards 44,000, even 43,800 also. So both the indices are looking weak at this moment. Short built up setup was there in the today's session also for both the indices. So we expect furthermore follow-up selling we can see in the coming trading session for both the indices.
That's the outlook on the benchmark indices going ahead. So quite a wobbly week for the benchmark indices. And Ajay, you will agree that the week actually started on a very positive note. We all had the cheer of Ganesh Chaturthi towards the end. It was the red color that was visible on the markets. But on Friday specifically, some bit of a positive news coming in, wherein JP Morgan has gone ahead and said that Indian bonds will be included in their index, and that was taken a bit positively by the indices, the banks specifically, on the back of the impact on yields and their cost of borrowing. But how do you see this? How big this development could be, and what sort of an impact can we see happening on the PSU bank specifically?
Yeah, Srishti, first of all, this impact will start in June, and 1% will get added every month, and till we get a 10% weightage. in the JP Morgan Global Emerging Market Bond Index. So it's going to be slow and steady. It's not that on June itself the tap will be opened. Second thing is it's sentimentally very positive. It creates one more avenue of inflows and to the world also in a scenario where there is a lot of outflow from China. There is one option available to global bond investors, but it's the actual on the ground impact will be slow and steady. The market went up today. I think the selling that's coming in is from the leveraged money, which is being squeezed out because of the longer, higher for longer message from the Fed and the bond yields going up. So that higher for longer is really leading to an everything must sell off. Today, if you look at multi assets across the world, the safest haven is to buy some dollar and sit tight. Second could be some commodities, maybe some crude oil you could buy and just wait it out. Otherwise, a lot of other assets are looking very wobbly, and we are in an everything must sell off mode. India, we are in a different situation where the macro is strong. Going into the elections, normally we see a strong rally. We see liquidity also coming into the hands of consumers as welfare spending ratchets up going into the elections normally. That has been the scenario for the last 3 to 4 national elections. But where we are getting stuck right now is the global macro, the global sell off that's happening, the global sentiment being quite fragile. The second thing is we rose quite strongly from March, and if you recall, it has been a very good rally, especially on the small cap, mid caps. We really went up very fast and furiously, and those are now seeing some amount of money being taken off. So nothing to worry as of now, as far as India is concerned. But we see sideways markets. What is the trigger? The trigger will probably come with the earnings, but the clouds are much stronger, Srishti, because you have a looming US government shutdown happening as of September 30th, end of day. You have student loan repayment coming in the US. We don't know the impact on the US consumption of that. You have oil prices, which are quite high. And then you have the US automaker strike, which, we are seeing labor relations deteriorating. How much that will have an impact on supply of automobiles and inflation and lead to the Fed raising rates not in November, but maybe on 13th December. So that's how we are linked to the global economy. I think a very difficult week ahead for Indian markets also. We have to weather this storm and hope that there is no US government shutdown, because then it could extend to a couple of weeks and that shaves off global GDP immediately by a few basis points.
Right, thanks for that, sir. Let me quickly take it back to you, Rajesh. Rajesh, two quick questions. One is on the Nifty PSU Bank. It's been a very interesting performance overall by the PSU Bank index. Where should it go going forward in your view, where technicals are concerned? Also, one key question I'd like to again slip through along with this one is HDFC Bank. Where should one see it in terms of levels going forward?
So Nifty PSU Bank is in a different mood, and we have seen outperformance throughout the week, and the kind of breakout which we are seeing on the across all time frame. It clearly shows that we can see furthermore a rally to extend in the Nifty PSU Bank. Especially most of the PSU Bank have now trading about to their multi-month, multi-year high breakout. Be it Canara Bank, PNB, Bank of Baroda, even a small PSU bank like UCO, Union Bank, Indian Bank, all banks have given a breakout of their multi-month, multi-year breakout. So these kind of behavior of most of the PSU stocks are clearly suggesting that this rally can extend further, and we can see another 10 to 15% kind of rally in due course for most of the PSU bank from the current level also. So our view is bullish for PSU banks, and buy on dips is the strategy for Nifty PSU banks. Even for Nifty PSU bank index, 5,000 is the key level to watch for on the downside, and on the higher side, we are expecting target of 5,500 to 5,600 in the continuation of this uptrend. HDFC Bank, very significant corrective move during the week, and now stock slipped below to all its keys important moving averages. Stock is now trading below to 200-day moving average, which is clearly adding up the bearishness for the short to medium term setup also. Stock has given a breakdown of its previous swing low. So now if stocks continues to trade below 1560, 1570 level, then possibly minor pullback will again meet to the supply on the higher side. And on the lower side, this sell-off can continue towards 1500 level, even below 1500 level also, as there is a huge open interest addition on the short side, and liquidation of setup is there on the near term as well as on the short term charts also. So stock has given a breakdown of its multiple support zone area on the closing basis, weekly closing basis. So view is little negative for the HDFC Bank. 1500 to 1480 is the immediate target on the downside. Keep your stop loss if you are on the short side of trade. Keep your stop loss at 1560.
So positive on the PSU banking counters, but not that positive on the leader HDFC Bank. But Ajay, let's switch spaces and have focus on IT space, because the coming week Indian companies might react to the Accenture earnings, because last time Accenture earnings were actually lower than the estimates, as well as the guidance wasn't that optimistic, and similar was the case with the Indian IT majors, wherein Infosys has cut its guidance. The order book trajectory wasn't looking that rosy, but this time around, do you believe that the worst will be over for these IT companies? Because in one quarter or so, if we see the index, that has performed pretty well. Many of these mid-cap IT companies specifically have done well. So going ahead, do you believe that the performance will continue, or are you a bit negative on the sector and maybe the stocks could have an impact too?
Yeah, Srishti, I'm very afraid of Harsh and you, because whenever I give a fundamental view and what the question you have asked, you are proved right and I'm wrong. So I am afraid to say this, but my analysis is that since it's so underowned, people have started, kind of nibbling at IT. Might be premature. I think the bottoming out might take 3 to 6 months. If anything, next year the global macro is weakening. It's not growing stronger. So including the Indian macro will weaken next year. So I am expecting a challenging. You add 1 quarter of this year and maybe 4 quarters of next year. So maybe 5 to 6 quarters might be challenging. So there are some value pickers who have come in, or some contrarian buyers. You can't call it value pickers, but some contra buys have happened in IT, and we have seen them getting bid up. But I would be cautious. Let the Infosys results come. We'll get an idea. Accenture will give us an idea. I think post that one can look at that. My feeling right now is might still be early days, and you might have to wait out. And there could be better options in the India infra segment, the capital goods segment for us, rather than diving into IT right away.
We'll come back to that, Ajay, but let's quickly slip into a short break. Of course, more on the other side. We have both our guests, so stay tuned. We'll continue our discussion on the other side.
Welcome back to Your Trade Journey, Tina, where we are having this discussion with our experts onto the show that how is the upcoming week looking like for the Indian markets, because that's going to be an interesting one, as we will be heading for the last week of the September series. And we have on board Rajesh Palviya as well as Ajay Bagga to guide us better. And Rajesh, coming to you, we had your analysis on the benchmark indices, but specifically on the stock specific action, though you were bullish on the PSU banking space. So any stocks that you wish to highlight from that pack, and apart from that, what will be your top recommendations?
So Srishti, the first pick which I like from the PSU bank, that is Bank of Baroda. Very strong breakout on the weekly chart. This is the fourth consecutive week where we are seeing higher high-low formation on the weekly chart. stock has formed a double bottom sort of formation at 190 level, and we have seen a breakout on the weekly chart. So looking at the overall setup for Bank of Baroda, we are bullish and we are expecting target of 230 in the continuation of this uptrend. One can buy with stop loss of 208. The second stock is on short side, that is Indigo Interglobe Aviation. Stock is looking weak. Continue a series of lower top, lower bottom formation is taking place on the daily chart. Stock now slipped below to 50-day moving average. Looking at the short built up in the data for this current week, we believe that furthermore downside we can in the Interglobe Aviation in the continuation of this down move. We expect a target of 2490, 2470 in the continuation of this down move. One can go short in Indigo with stop loss of 2390. The third stock is on the buying side, that is Coal India. Very strong up move we have witnessed in the last couple of weeks. Stock is now consolidating at higher level. Stock is forming a flag kind of formation on the daily chart. Looking at overall structure on the daily as well as on the weekly time frame, we believe that Coal India may give a breakout in the coming trading session, and then possible upside target we can see towards 295. So Coal India is buy with stop loss of 298.
Right, those are Rajesh's picks, of course. We'll keep an eye out on them. But let's quickly switch it over to Ajay. Ajay, one other piece that I wanted your view on was with regard to crude, right? It's been flip-flopping, but what really stands out during the last 2 to 3 months, what I noticed is that the dollar index has gone up, and with it, crude has also gone up. That's not really regular and normal, right? It works inversely. So how should one look at crude in this environment? Because that will really impact inflation, which will therefore impact rates as well. So how should one look at the whole crude story play out, according to you?
Yeah, crude is because of the demand supply, demand has gone up, and despite a slow China, demand is very strong. While OPEC Plus has cut supply, if you look at the total capacity, they can produce about 34 million barrels a day. They are producing 28 million barrels. So I think about 95 was the Saudi target. They have achieved it. If it goes much further than that, Saudis will start pumping more. So I don't see crude going much more than this. It will become too unaffordable, and the pressure on the Saudis and Russians will really increase then. I think we have reached the peak of crude for this season for now. We should see some more supplies coming in and to help relieve the shortfall that is there.
Okay, so Ajay believes that we have reached the peak for this season for crude. Maybe a respite for India for now. But with this, gentlemen, we'll let you go on that. Thank you so much, Rajesh and Ajay, for joining us today on ET Now and helping all our viewers understand that how are you looking at the markets in the week ahead.